The Galactic Military Academy on Zentara Prime had stood for 3,000 cycles, training the finest warriors from across 100 star systems. Its granite halls had witnessed countless species prove their worth, but never had the instructors encountered anything quite like the humans. Cynthia Martinez wiped sweat from her brow as she observed the morning's physical assessment from the observation deck. Below, in the cavernous training hall, 24 alien cadets struggled with what the Zentarans called the Crucible, a series of tests designed to break the weak and forge the strong. She watched a Krillian cadet, all 4 of its muscular arms straining, attempt to lift the standard-issue graviton weight bar. The creature's exoskeleton creaked ominously before it collapsed, mandibles clicking in distress. "Another failure," muttered Instructor Zekthor, his reptilian features twisted in disappointment. The Saurian officer's tail swished with agitation as he made notes on his holopad. "That's the 3rd spinal compression injury this week. Perhaps we're pushing them too hard. Or perhaps they're just not ready," Cynthia replied quietly, though she knew better than to say it too loudly. Humans had only been part of the galactic community for 5 standard years, and their presence at the academy was still controversial. Across the training floor, Jeffrey Chen grunted as he completed his 50th pull-up on the elevated bar. The gravity in this section was set to 2.3 standard, enough to make most species' bones creak under their own body weight. Jeffrey's human physiology, evolved under Earth's persistent 1G, treated it as merely challenging. He dropped to the floor with a thud that echoed through the chamber. "Show off," called a familiar voice. Cynthia had made her way down to the main floor. Jeffrey grinned, his dark hair plastered to his forehead. "Just staying sharp, Martinez. You know how it is. I know you're making the Krillians nervous. 3 of them filed complaints last week saying your training regimen was biologically intimidating." Before Jeffrey could respond, a deafening crash reverberated through the hall. The main entrance doors burst open and a maintenance crew shuffled in, their movements sluggish and strained. At the center of their formation hovered a massive piece of equipment, the primary gravity generator for the facility's central hub. The device was roughly 4 meters long, a cylinder of dense alloys and quantum processors that regulated gravitational fields across 12 training zones. Instructor Zekthor's eyes widened. "Careful with that. The installation requires a full team and anti-grav supports. One mistaken, his warning came too late. The lead technician, a Vorphine with 6 spindly legs, miscalculated a turn. The anti-grav platform tilted. The generator began to slide. In the panicked scramble that followed, the platform failed entirely. The generator crashed to the floor with a sound like thunder, its weight creating a visible depression in the reinforced plating. "By the ancestors," Zekthor breathed. "That thing masses 12,000 kilograms. We'll need to call for specialized equipment." The morning training session ground to a halt. Cadets gathered around the fallen generator, speaking in hushed tones in a dozen different languages. The Krillian who had injured himself earlier limped closer, his rehabilitation brace hissing with each step. "How long will retrieval take?" asked Cynthia. "At least 6 hours," Zekthor replied grimly. "We'll have to evacuate this sector. Without that generator, the gravity fields will destabilize. The entire West Wing will be unusable for training." Jeffrey walked over to the fallen generator, his footsteps casual, relaxed. He crouched beside it, running his hands along its surface, assessing it like a mechanic evaluating a broken-down car. "It's not damaged," he announced. "Just disconnected. If we can get it back to the installation point, you could have it running in an hour." "Did you not hear me, Cadet Chen?" Zekthor's voice carried an edge. 12,000 kilograms. Even with our strongest lifting teams, we'd need anti-grav supports and— "Give me a second," Jeffrey interrupted. He repositioned himself, planting his feet on either side of the generator's base. His hands found purchase on the lower grips, handholds designed for robotic loaders, not living beings. Cynthia realized what he was about to do. "Jeffrey, don't," but he was already committed. Jeffrey took a deep breath and his muscles tensed. Watching a human prepare for a major lift was something the other cadets had never truly appreciated. The way Jeffrey's entire body became a coordinated machine, legs driving, core bracing, arms pulling, it was the product of millions of years of evolution. On a death world where predators hunted in packs and survival meant being stronger than what wanted to kill you. The generator shifted, a collective, Gasp rippled through the assembled crowd. Jeffrey's face reddened with effort, veins standing out on his neck, but the massive cylinder was rising. Inch by impossible inch, he lifted it. His legs trembled but held. His back remained straight, perfect form, the kind of deadlift that would have made powerlifters back on Earth nod with approval. "Impossible," whispered a Vorfine cadet. His spine should have shattered. His legs should have collapsed. But Jeffrey didn't collapse. He didn't shatter. He lifted the generator to waist height, then adjusted his grip. Sweat poured down his face. His breath came in controlled bursts. And then, with a final surge of effort, he hoisted the entire mass onto his shoulders in a fireman's carry. "Which way?" he grunted. Zekthor stood frozen, his mouth hanging open. Cynthia had to physically push the instructor to snap him out of his shock. "The installation bay." "Through that door." 50 meters. Jeffrey began walking. Each step was measured, deliberate. The floor plates groaned under the combined weight of man and machine. Around him, alien cadets pressed themselves against the walls, their eyes wide with something between awe and primal fear. The Krillian with the injured back made a chittering sound that his translator rendered as, "What manner of creature?" 50 meters had never seemed so long. Jeffrey's legs screamed at him. His shoulders felt like they were being compressed into diamond. But he'd carried wounded soldiers through worse. He'd hauled equipment up mountains in training exercises that would have killed lesser beings. This was just weight. Weight was just physics. And physics bowed to human stubbornness. He reached the installation bay and, with Cynthia's guidance, lowered the generator onto its mounting brackets. The moment it was secure, Jeffrey stepped back and promptly sat down on the floor, his chest heaving. Cynthia knelt beside him, offering water from her canteen. "You're insane," she said, but there was pride in her voice. "Probably," Jeffrey admitted between gulps. "But we've got training in 20 minutes. Couldn't have the gravity failing on us." Behind them, Instructor Zekthor approached slowly, his holopad forgotten in his clawed hand. "Cadet Chen," he said quietly, "in 3,000 cycles of Academy history I have seen beings of tremendous strength, Krillians who could tear through steel, Saurians who could crush stone, but I have never—" He paused, searching for words. "Your species evolved on a world that tried to kill you every single day, didn't it?" Jeffrey stood, his legs still shaky but functional. "Pretty much, sir. But that's what made us good at not dying." Over the following weeks, the story spread through the Academy like wildfire. The human who had lifted what should have been impossible. It became legend, then myth, embellished with each retelling until some versions had Jeffrey juggling multiple generators while reciting poetry. But for those who had been there, who had witnessed it firsthand, the truth was impressive enough. They had learned something fundamental about humanity that day, something that would reshape galactic understanding of Earth's strange, stubborn children. Humans didn't break easily. Their world had been too harsh, their evolution too brutal, their survival too hard-won. They were the universe's response to the question, what happens when a species refuses to be prey? The answer walked on two legs, lifted impossible weights, and complained mostly about the cafeteria food.